Hey everyone, welcome to Copi Cafe. This is episode number 61. You've got Rob, Greig, and Josh Jones here. And we're just here to give you another update on where we're at, what's the status of our game. Cornucopias, for those of you that don't know, is an MMORPG game with a variety of different lands and experiences. You can utilize your Web3 assets like vehicles to travel around to different lands and do a variety of different things. Some of those being curated by us, for example, the racing game, which is Toledo Valley, that some of you guys know. That will be coming up and available to a lot of you very soon. More details on that coming up. But also we'll eventually have community curated content in our custom domes. So that's what we're really pushing towards on our development path. A lot of fun stuff ahead. Today we're going to talk a little bit about where we're at with the desktop launcher, where we're at with the actual Toledo Valley and getting people into testing. We're going to be talking about, some new features that we have in development. We've got a leak for you, some community questions, a lot of good stuff. So stay with us. And without further ado, Rob, what are you drinking?
Well, it's 10 past 10 on a Friday night. So, dun, dun, dun.
All right.
A real Guinness.
So
I
Rob
mean, not
has
a real
fun.
Guinness because it's not in draft. It's, it's a proper can.
Draft. All right.
What are you drinking, Josh?
I'm having a big party, man. I'm drinking the Polish
Portland Springs.
Poland spring water. It's actually really delicious water.
Poland or Portland?
Poland.
Oh,
It's good.
for European?
It's very refreshing. Had a good workout a little while ago. Got the internet set up. I'm actually in Maine now, not in Texas. So this episode is brought to you from a new location.
So I imagine that Austin to Maine is quite a chilled flight.
Totally chilled flight. Yeah, easy 5-hour flight, except we drove. And I don't know the total number of miles yet. I need to go look that up. It's a lot of miles, and we did it in 3 days with 3 dogs in an SUV.
Crazy.
All of our bags and luggage on top, and then the dog beds and the seats laid down in the back. And that was a fun ride. Tough ride, but we're done. We're here.
The classic American road trip.
Yes, sir.
Did you go on Route 66?
Yeah, it had a Chevy Chase vacation vibe.
Yeah.
yeah. It's great.
Did you stop off and get any American pie?
Negative.
Okay.
We didn't get
on.
onto Route 66 either, but it was quite the journey, and we're done. We're here now, and just getting settled in, and gonna, bring Copi Cafe to you guys and share the new exciting stuff we have in development, which is
that's why we're late this week. 36 hours driving. That's driving
32,
time.
32, but
32,
yeah.
not even with breaks.
Actually,
on top
no,
of that,
you're right. To be honest, it's 36 because day 2 we had 4 extra hours due to traffic.
That's all you need.
It was supposed to be 32. So day 2 was 16 hours of driving. That was brutal. Wow. Yeah.
That is like going from the UK, from John O'Groats to Land's End to back again, and then to back again, or driving to Spain. It's glad you did it, not me.
Well, I went from 104-degree Austin heat to about a high of 83 and more often a high of 75. So it's a good way to cool off for about a month.
So you're there for a month?
Yeah. Here for a month. Then we make the drive all over again.
I did see a quick question. So somebody asked us if we do have holidays. I mean, we have working holidays.
I actually will be out for the first little break of the year next week. So we do have them, but the reality is right now for Rob and I mean, on that break, I'll be getting up early before the family, getting some cornucopias work in for a few hours every day, and then going and hanging out with the family. But yeah, this is
I
not.
think that
We're just not in a place where we can take a full break for a while.
I think that is that our first announcement. No Copi Cafe next week.
Yes, that is no Copi Cafe next week. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
And you know, honestly, if I can shoot it, I will. If the Wi-Fi signal's good where I'm at, but I'm pretty doubtful that it'll be decent enough. But we can give it a shot. I'm definitely willing.
Okay.
Again, yeah, I'll be working every day, but yeah, just trying to get it knocked out before the family wakes up. So okay, let's get into this. We have some good stuff happening. You want to talk a little bit about testing?
Yeah, testing has been going quite well. We're whipping through these builds, and this is why we need to take it slow, because in the early days we know we've got a lot to get through, and if we
Mm-hmm.
had feedback from, say, hundreds of people all telling us the same, we would just get bogged down. So I think we're up to maybe the fourth bugs update since we started. I think we've fixed over 150 different bugs, and these are minor bugs. These are kind of you walk into something and you can walk through it, and you might be a little bit too far ground and bouncing off stuff. So we've fixed quite a lot of those. We've introduced some new functionality as well that we've been
Mm-hmm.
working on. So we've gamified the whole experience, which we will
Mm-hmm.
show later on. We have a couple of the community testing with us. One of the OGs that people will know, is called Scruffy. He
Yeah.
he's quite popular amongst the OGs. He is also an influencer as well, so he transitions over quite nicely. But he is representing the OGs. He's not representing the influencer. Oh, he could do both. So I mean, obviously he's quite happy among some. So we've gone through a couple of phases of introducing different people, small batches, and I think Tuesday next week we're about to open up to a slightly larger testing set. So
Yeah, but I
we'll
want to
rough.
emphasize something is the now Scruffy's testing by using the launcher. So he's created his player account using the launcher
Mhm.
to hit the play button and launch the game, which moving into that phase is a huge step because now we've got game
Yeah,
plus launcher plus player account all communicating to one another, and that's working. So that's a big step. That's been a lot of moving parts. And so getting it
yeah,
out there in that way is huge. Um,
yeah,
so
yeah.
definitely a
Like you say,
big sign of progress.
yeah. Testing the launcher first. We also introduced a couple of servers as well. So now we have a European server and we have an American server. And before we were kind of flicking between the two, but
Mm-hmm.
we've built that now into just while we're testing, we've built that into the main menu, so you can choose two of them. Choose whichever one you want to go and test on. These are 24-hour servers, so that they're both AWS hosted.
Yep.
So that's great. But we will also be testing. I will be testing connecting to America, and you'll be testing coming to Europe. So we can check the ping times, and those have actually been quite good. Even running around, we have introduced the new character system. So that has had, as you expect, with a complete overhaul of the system, that's had a few glitches in the matrix. So that's really one of the main reasons why we've not been sharing any content to begin with. And those are really difficult actually into I think to progress, because when you're developing in engine, as the developers say it, that it's not live, you get a slightly different, well, a huge difference than when the game is actually running in real time. So
From the
how they
editor,
see it,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, from the editor to the actual build, what they're telling us is the editor doesn't necessarily tell the truth. So they'll go through an entire set of corrections, changes, all of these things, bug fixes, and the editor says, yeah, you're good. It's looking good. So then we go to the build process, which is a lot of moving of code, changing settings. The build process is currently pretty long. It's about 3 to 6 hours. So they go through that. Then we get the build and we go in, we download the build, we extract the files, and we start testing. And we find out, oh, no, we're not there. So that's a good time cycle, that whole loop that we go through, which we are improving significantly in parallel with some of the work one of our other guys is doing right now, working on the auto compiling of the build, which will be huge for us.
Yeah, I mean,
can't really announce
you have
much
kind
further.
of we have kind of like 100 different settings that you can change because when you're testing yourself locally, you know, there's no lag whatsoever. Everything is rapid. But when you then deploy it and you get intermittent lag of connecting to a server and coming back, your player could be maybe a millisecond or a fraction of a second slightly behind, and you would only know that when you're connected to a certain server. And there's little tricks that you can put on, little settings, but then depending if your lag gets worse or better, they also have to adjust as well, because as we see with you know, your ping can come anywhere from 50 to 300. I mean, if it goes to 300, you're a little bit of a nightmare. So we've kind of tuned it for around about 100 to 150 ping, but that's only in the early days. And as we deploy the servers, we will test with more and more different rates, and then we will eventually get the game kind of changing its settings in real times depending on. So it's actually really, really complicated, and it also is affected what you're doing. So as you're running around and you've got other players, that's one kind of setting. But if you're on, say, an elevator or a lift, and that's moving at a different rate, you've got that replicating. And if you're on a monorail, I mean,
which we've got. So we've got the escalator, the round moving stairs. We've got the sky cars. We've got the monorail. We've got the lift. We've got the tower. All of those moving parts that create added complexity, for sure.
That tower.
So, yeah. But yeah, so to back it up, though, with the testing, because we've kind of gone into some other stuff here. The testing is a huge success. We've moved on to more people. It's in the hands of Scruffy. He's using the desktop launcher to launch the game. He's in Toledo Valley, and we have multiplayer on 2 servers, an English server and a UK server, which helps improve the ping times and the lag and things like that. So things are going incredibly well. Meanwhile, we've got another guy that you're primarily managing that's working on the build setup, automating that, really improving the multiplayer experience. Do you want to tell us about some of the other new features, though, that we are?
We've got a couple, like you say. We've got some that are helping, some extra features that are in game. And also some that are helping development. So alongside that, we are working on what is technical term is CI/CD. So it's continuous integration, continuous development. Currently, what we're doing, I remember we're a small team, and these kind of bells and whistles come later on, but we're getting to them now. Is when you compile, your PC is basically then locked up for a couple of hours. Because unlike anything else I've ever seen, you know, Unreal Engine sometimes compiles for different targets, and then it has to perfect itself for like 6,000 different distributions, and it's a bit of a nightmare. And it can take anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours to compile locally on your PC. So then one of the developers now has his PC locked up. Well, we have another chap, Gary, who is working on that problem himself. So he has now configured our builds. So, well, he has a working prototype of, we update the code and the code will then compile in the cloud. So that's amazing, because then that means that our developers are now free to save their code, upload it to GitHub, and it will automatically compile,
Well,
and their
they're able to
PCs are
keep
free.
working. So they're able to keep working once they start that process. They
Yes.
they don't now have their computer doing the actual build, occupying all of that, RAM and
And
so.
I know this is second nature in software, but these things do take time when you've got a small team to implement that when we're building as fast as we can. So sometimes when we get the opportunity, we're stepping back and we're putting these things in place.
That's
That's
actually not even stepping back. That's stepping in
it's
parallel.
way overdue. Yeah,
That's stepping in
it's way
parallel.
overdue. Yeah, so that's good for us. We're also able to cross compile now to have a Linux server. So everything that we're doing is Windows, and we also have a Windows server. But we're now having the ability to compile that the back end, not what the user sees, but the back end actually on Linux. So the UE5 Linux will actually have huge ramifications for us moving forward, because the hosting costs of a Linux server is up to 50% cheaper than Windows. So as we scale out, having that huge costs in place. So that those two things alone, although the players won't see, it's a back end stuff, it's actually a huge improvement for us. But on the front end, what the players will see is we have, like I say, we have gamified Kalido Resort. So now not only will we be able to go around Kalido Resort, you'll have a little game, and this game will involve kind of like a holo cache. So we'll show you what a holo cache means later on. But basically, it's kind of as you're testing and looking for things, we've hidden at the moment 100 different devices around the resort. So you will go around and try and find them. And when you find them, it might be a common, it might be an uncommon, it might be a rare, a legendary, or a mythic. So it's just a bit of fun. You go and find it, and you've got 100 of these things at the moment to find. So that's now working in the testing session.
It helps enhance the testing while also gamifying it and giving you guys something to do inside Kalido Valley. That's the essence of what that is, which is, it's going to make it fun. There's going to have rarities to it, and it's going to be fun. So, okay.
And it's not just a walking simulator, but that functionality then when we'll move over to Solace. So you won't be going and looking at holo caches. These will be part of the tasks. You'll be going to find various things. We're also so that's working now, but we've also just introduced a compass. That's what we're working on. So we have the compass in game at the moment. So if you've ever played something like Skyrim or New World, you'll know what the compass is about. It's a little compass, and it doesn't tell you exactly where things are, but it kind of hints. So as you get closer to them, it'll go, you're warm, you're cold, and so that will turn Kalido Resort into actually a really fun multiplayer hide and seek and game.
It's a start. It's by no means is it complete. So I just want to chime in there because so there's no means it's complete. It's a start, and we're moving forward with that in a way that is going to make it a lot of fun to do tasks and quests and things like that when we add more features to all of this. This is a great system. And like Rob said, if you've looked at New World or Skyrim, it's really cool when you know what your current task is. You've got a compass guiding you in the right direction to go find what that is and help you to accomplish it. It's a great system. It's really helpful, and we've got the current build has that. So that's what Scruffy will be taking a look at, and the other influencers.
And that is core functionality for Solace. When you want to go from one district to another district, or a point of interest, or a task, whether you're on your main quest or side quests, they'll be there on that compass. And of all the different systems that we've seen of, actually putting it in people's face, here's a location to go to, or go and find it and just stumble across it. This, we think, and obviously we will get users, players' feedback on this. We think the go and discover and something in your location kind of distracts you, the almost 30-second, 40-second rule. I think it's going to be a great feature. And while people are testing, I'm so looking forward to going finding all these holocaches, which again will lead up to people discovering things and XP systems and going back. So like we've always said, the Valley is all about building major functionality for Solace and the other domes, but in a nice controlled area that's fun for the community to come in and help us testing. So when you see the Valley, think this is Solace, but a tiny, it's a glimpse of it.
It's a really important point. It was an easier thing to get in you guys' hands, this Toledo Valley and the racing, which is not an easy thing at all, but it was the easiest way for us to create something valuable and fun that allows us to also test the multiplayer, so many different things in this space before we open it up in a giant 8 by 8 kilometer area. So this is just, it's great. It's actually helping us to speed along things in Solace, which have been in development as well. And so much of what we're developing for this will actually carry over to Solace. For example, the compass, some of the holocache systems.
And I think those hardcore gamers that have played something like New World or Skyrim, they'll go, I can see what they're building now. I think a light bulb will click.
There's another fun feature that we've been working on, which is the proximity voice chat. Pretty exciting.
Oh, yes.
To talk.
Yeah, we are building. We're building these features in, and again, it's such.
That's kind of a leak right there, but I mean, you expect that in games, right? So you want to have that in any game, but when you've got proximity-based voice chat, it allows you to hopefully, and we'll probably start with something simple, but talk with your group of friends. You've got a group of people that you're playing with. You can talk with them. There could be general chat where you talk to anybody, but there's a variety of different channels and ways that we can do this. But that has begun, and we're testing it, and hopefully be able to show you guys some of that soon too.
Currently we're all kind of in Discord chatting, but we know, in the final version of the game, like you say, there'll be party chats. You'll be in there with your friend. You'll have proximity. If you want, turn it on, turn it off. Yeah, all these features are coming. We are working on them. We are building a true MMORPG.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. So do you want to move on to the leak?
Yep.
All right. Let's see.
Straight to the leak, not the community questions. Yeah.
Let's do the questions first. Let's do the questions and then with the leak.
Go on then. All right. You're confusing Stein now. He's going back into. But go on then. We'll do community questions.
Okay. You want me to give you the questions, or are you asking me?
No, I'll ask you the first one. This one is from Josh. So this is Late Games Crypto Josh. He says, with respect to both decentralized gaming approach and the family-friendly philosophy of Cornucopias, obviously. However, he says, these two philosophies can be difficult to balance, especially when it comes to appropriate enforcement on community guidelines. How does Cornucopias intend to approach this? I think it's definitely a great question.
It is a great question. And to me, this, honestly, we could probably spend 30 minutes on this question, but we're not. But our strategy from the get-go is, yes, we believe in decentralization, but there's also a lot of problems. If you start fully decentralized, you're probably not going anywhere because governance and so many factors have to be looked at. We wanted to start with a curated, centralized approach, and over time, gradually and systematically decentralize and give more and more and more power and more governance and more, et cetera, to the community over time. But we have to lead with something strong. We have to create the systems. We have to cultivate and build a culture and a community that then has certain expectations about how things are going to go, and then start to gradually empower them with governance on the way decisions are made, and different factors like that. And the good thing is that, like, I don't think we need to solve the governance problem right now, which is great because
Mhm.
Cardano is working on that on their end, and it's not an easy problem to solve in a
Yeah.
fair way. Like, there's a lot of challenges to governance, but that's our strategy. And yeah, the two aren't mutually exclusive necessarily, but the two definitely can create conflict. And so we're going to gradually empower the community to make those choices. And hopefully, we don't end up with something where the community votes to go hardcore and like crazy,
Yeah.
and abandon the brand that we've built that is kid friendly and family friendly. But yeah, over
Yeah.
time we're going to resolve that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we've kind of created this family friendly culture, and I think culture is probably the right word. When you're in an environment, if there is a culture of kind of being polite and family friendly, then if somebody comes into that culture and they're not following that, then quickly they'll think, oh, this is maybe was inappropriate, and then maybe they'll just slightly adjust their behavior, or maybe they'll go and play Grand Theft Auto or something. But I mean, yeah. Well, we will see. It is a
And
good question, and it's very difficult.
yeah, and you can't control everything, right? So even if
Yeah,
you think about a PvP game, think about jumping in Call of Duty game and you turn on
yeah,
voice chat in Call of Duty. You have no idea what you're going to hear. And half of the worst things that I'll hear playing Call of Duty is from a 13-year-old. I have no idea where he is, but he's like cursing me out and saying crazy stuff. Like, so
yeah.
people say crazy stuff in there, and you can't control that. But
No.
we can control what we can in the beginning, and then gradually allow the community to make those decisions. So it
And
is a great question. We could go on that for hours, really. But
yeah,
what's
we
next?
can provide tools. Okay, we can provide tools to report players. We can give you tools to turn voice off, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
the standard approaches.
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Question two then from Fiery: is there a finite end to testing feedback, or will racing and the metaverse stay open for continuous access and updates?
Okay, so I guess the that question can be interpreted one of two different ways. You interpreted one way, I interpreted another. I think that could be short term. Are we keeping the servers on 24/7? I think that was your interpretation. And right now, I do think that we will keep the servers on 24/7 for testing and feedback, and gradually release to more and more of you. But we also do need to get data on what is the cost of this feedback and hosting
Yeah.
these servers, and figure that out, and then make decisions accordingly. Because currently we don't have all of that figured out. We've got some data. We can estimate what the AWS Linux costs will be on serving this in a variety of places, variety of locations, but we also don't know how much lag there's going to be from one location where servers, maybe UK to Australia. What kind of lag is that going to be? And do we need to start opening up, more servers over there? So we got to figure out a lot of that. But also, if that's a more long-term based question, we'll probably be testing racing for quite a while. But that said, there will be a finite end where we then open it up, and anyone has access that goes to the website. So that is going to have a finite end without a doubt. But does that
Yep.
mean that we're done testing? Not necessarily. It means just open to everybody, because you'll still always have the ability to report bugs, always, on the launcher,
Yeah.
which is huge.
I think the other thing we're going to do, we're obviously going to open up more servers, and we'll probably open up more territories in the world, but we're not going to, we're not going to have thousands of servers while we're testing. So there will be limited testing. So there might come a point where we've opened it up to so many people that we might have to restrict access. We got some ideas how we may do that at the moment. But we're also in the future, I don't really want to talk about it now, but when we introduce nodes, nodes will be an interesting way to actually reduce some of the costs. But that's a
Sure.
conversation for the future.
Yeah, and a good one. So, the one final thing that I do want to add to that is that the team has gone through two huge testing cycles at this point. Last weekend, we went through, identified, I think it was 127 bugs or something like that. And
In
over
one
the
session, yeah.
weekend, they resolved most of them. So, what we are about to be opening up to the influencers and to larger groups, we are opening it up right now. But as we go to a larger group, I have a lot more confidence that we're going to be able to start opening this up a lot more quickly very soon and even allow
Mhm.
people to start sharing video. We're not far off. Our
Yeah.
team of devs has gone in and fixed so much, which is awesome. But there's so many issues that come up. But that being said, I think that we can resolve bugs fairly quickly and really start scaling this up in the next few weeks. So, final question.
Yep. Okay. So final question is by some random characters, Sheridan.vip, one of the Mafia Guild. Can the domes be made to be allow VR heads to only allow VR headsets for custom events? I know age limits are going to be introduced, but can there be system limits exposed for creators to use? That's a good question. Oh, good
Oh,
question.
that's a
That you
great
do.
question, but that is so far. I wouldn't say so far, but like when we have the resources to start testing VR, what we'll do is exactly that. It'll be testing and researching VR in one of the custom domes. So that's one of the beauty of the designs of our game and how we've done it and the roles and permission system that you've kind of modeled out, Rob. The beauty of that is that we can
Mhm.
open up a custom dome for testing to with VR and a small group and research and really refine that and improve that because the tech is still very early. Apple's done something very powerful recently that's going to accelerate the people building in that ecosystem, but it's still incredibly early. And so we can just piecemeal test that, which is a great thing. So I can't really fully answer your question just yet, but what I can say is that we are going to be testing in custom domes when the time is right in the near future.
Yeah, I suppose I would say, like we say, some of the features and tools that we are building for the Valley that you will see in Solace, they will also find themselves into custom domes. So none of these systems, when you think, oh, they're only talking about racing, they're only talking about, we're talking about the whole game. We're developing everything simultaneously, and the pieces will fit all over the place. It's a really interesting strategy to start off small and build out, as opposed to build out and come back in, as I've seen some other projects do that when they realize actually we've bitten off too much. This is how you do it. You go small and you move
Yeah,
out.
yeah, without a doubt. Uh, you
Okay,
know,
cool.
that brings us to actually, there were two other topics I want to cover real quick. Um,
Cool.
AscendEX. We launched a centralized exchange. One of the
Oops. Yeah.
things
How did we miss that little detail?
that was a big step for us, and just to give you guys some context and just a little bit more information, um, we could launch with a top 10 exchange easily. We have several that have already approved us. We've decided to hold off on that. We also had several people really referring AscendEX as a good group of people as a first launch on a centralized exchange. And the reality is, what we want to do is strategically position ourselves to really start opening up exchanges that are, a lot that have a lot more volume, a lot more user base in the future in more of a bull cycle scenario that gives us an
Yeah.
opportunity to have some explosive growth. But yeah, anyway, they're doing a great job. They're great people to work with, and we like AscendEX. We use AscendEX, so it's a great exchange, and we have more to come. This is a roadmap. This is only the first step. So that's all.
Yeah,
All I'll say about
I mean, we encourage obviously decentralization. Not your keys, not your crypto. So people can use MinSwap and ViFi and Sunday Swap. Those that are Web3 savvy, they know the decentralized tools to use. But we want to attract mainstream. So trying to tell mainstream, right, you need to create a wallet, you need to write down these 24 keys and don't lose them and look after it. That onboarding becomes a lot simpler for new people when it comes via a central exchange. And some
yeah,
people actually just like the comfort of knowing that somebody else is looking after that problem. But yes, but you know, we've been we've continuously been asked for over a year, when are you going on a central exchange? When are you going? When are you going? When are you going? We're now on a central exchange. I think we're one of the very first projects actually to go on a central exchange from Cardano. But
No,
we
there's
had to
a
listen
few.
to our community feedback, and we're there. It's another great milestone for us.
Yeah, it is a great milestone. Um, totally agree. And then one other thing in the news, Star Atlas, which is a very promising Web3
Yeah,
project, they've had some pretty tough. They've had a pretty tough go of things, and
yeah,
you know we can easily look at that and say there's some basic crypto mistakes there that were made that compromised their ability. Number one was not your keys, not your crypto. A lot of funds were kept on a centralized exchange, um, which is you don't ever want to do that. But I do. I just want to say this: they were a solid project, doing great
still
things.
are, still are.
Still are. Um, they've got a rough road ahead right now, for sure,
Yeah,
where they're at. But we need projects like Star Atlas to do well and recover. And because the more people that come into this space to learn about Web3 and experience Web3 gaming, the better overall. So I'm rooting for them. I hope they figure out their way out of this. I think they will. It's just their strategy has been massively changed by the compromised funding, which has really hurt their runway. So they're changing strategy, and I really
yeah.
wish the best for them. I hope they get that figured out. We're rooting for you guys over there. So
It's awful. I think at one point they had like 227 staff members, and now that I think they've closed that down after FTX, they went down to something like 167, and now they've reduced that to 45. So we're relatively the same size as Star Atlas. We're both
yeah,
AAA games. We're both Unreal Engine 5. Um, yeah, I mean, nobody wants to to turn around to the staff and let anybody go. Never mind, over 100 staff. It must have been an
yeah.
awful decision.
No, I've been involved in companies in the past that were going through things like that, and it's brutal. It's hard on the employees.
Yeah,
It's hard on the team. But I hope they hang in there and turn it around and get something solid into this next bull cycle, and we'll see what they can do. I think they have
yeah,
a great vision. They made some basic crypto mistakes, but they seem like good guys, and they're really trying to build. Um, they just
yeah, definitely. But I mean, that game development is hard. I saw an interview with Stash the other day, and I think he said that their estimate is something like 250 million to 300 million when Star Atlas is completed.
well, AAA quality
especially
game. Yeah,
space,
yeah,
especially a
AAA
space
quality
game
game.
that they're doing. There's lots there's lots involved, but I mean, I'm happy with our strategy of starting off small and going build. We haven't sold all our land whatsoever. We've only sold a small fraction. We will introduce other zones only as the community's there, and the community and the everything's there. We're going to build ours up slowly, which can be frustrating for some people. They're saying when this, when that, when that. We can't grow too fast because we don't want it to have to end up in kind of like we wouldn't be in a similar situation
Growing
because
too
we
fast
won't make.
creates a lot of
Yeah,
inefficiencies and a lot of disorganization. And even at the
yeah,
speed that we've grown to around 50 in a short
mm-hmm,
amount of time, even growing at that speed had its drawbacks. But we're still
yeah,
incredibly fast. Like we've told to the community multiple times before, if we added on 150 people right now, we're not
yeah.
going faster.
Scary.
We're actually slowing down a ton. If we added on even
Yeah, and the
20 people
risk.
right now, we're not
Yeah,
we're
the
not going
the
faster.
risk.
We're
Yeah,
slowing down. So we're at a very very sweet spot at the moment. Is that going to have to grow? Yes, 100% as we get the core game loop in place. And then we have different teams in different departments within art and within programming. That'll be huge. But we have to do that very systematically in an organized way with the
Yep.
right way to onboard people and train them. All right, we need to move on.
Good.
So, final
Yep.
thing,
Go.
it's
Go for
time
it.
to move on to the leak.
The leak.
You got the video?
I have it. I have the leak. Here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
There you go.
The holocash system.
So, so yeah. So we talked about gamifying. So this is the holocash. This is before we. It's a bit choppy on ours, but it'll be fine when we play it back.
Yeah, that's
But
so.
there we
This
go.
is it. This is when you discover there's a little hologram for you and a sound effect, and there's some point system as well coming up. So it tells you the rarity and the points that you earn, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But
Very,
we're just
very,
trying
very
to give you
simple
guys something to
mechanics.
do while you're exploring around in our world in Toledo Valley, and racing is coming
Yep.
soon. In addition to that, as well. So a lot of fun for you guys up ahead, and we really are opening things up, and we're very excited about it. Things are turning, and they're turning quickly, and we got a lot happening. So stay with us, and thanks for watching. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye.
That's our show. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you all
do that.
maybe next week. Maybe one
All
after.
right.
All right. See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye bye.